Hello, I'm BrigantiaBlackbird of BlackbirdsBrew. Happy Tuesday. Let's talk about consent of the governed, because it has been said over and over time in the United States that government derives its power from the consent of the people. And to consent to a form of governance is simply not to rebel against it. Now, I want to highlight that point because consent is often misconstrued as being in agreement with. But in the context of government, consent is merely the absence of revolt, which means, unfortunately, silence is consent. Grudging consent is still consent. Allowing tyranny to go unchallenged is consent. And this isn't pleasant to hear, but it's important to realize that there isn't merely societal responsibility for the ills that are afflicting our nation. There's also an individual personal responsibility as well. That means you and me and everyone else. But what happens when a society is essentially split into two, and neither party consents to the preferred form of government of the other side? Because that's what we're faced with in this very moment. There are those who want socialism or some other nasty form of collectivism or authoritarianism. And then there's people like me who want the Constitution, and we want to restore the Republic to where it actually functions as a republic. Imagine that. Now, we can argue in favor of our position to support the Constitution and the idea of limited government, but we can't force the opposition to agree with us, and we can't force them to modify their actions to consent to constitutional rule. So no matter how short-sighted, immoral, or self-destructive socialism, collectivism, and authoritarianism is, there are still people out there who are determined to choose it, and they are resolute in their rejection of the Constitution. And this forms the foundation for my argument that's in favor of national divorce and the formation of a new union of states. The ideological divide in the nation is growing wider, and there are a variety of factors that cause that division. And regardless of the causes, it is a fact that this division exists, and neither side is willing to live under the rule of the other. To minimize the potential for physical conflict, a national divorce is absolutely necessary. It may seem impossible or too far-fetched today, but if there is not a legitimate effort to allow people to go their separate ways, the consequences will be disastrous. I know we grew up in this country. We were taught that it was one whole cohesive thing, but the truth is that nothing lasts forever. And you cannot sustain a society in which some people want to be ruled while other people want freedom. These are completely incompatible impulses, and it is time to recognize that. Let the states break up, allow new unions to come together, and let people have what they consent to. So that's my nag for the week. Let me know your own thoughts either in the comment section below or come over onto our Gilded group. There's a link to join us in the description box below. Our server is called BlackbirdsBrew, and you could bring this up either in my member spotlight channel, or you could come to the current events and politics channel, or just even bring this up in chit chat. We need to start talking to each other, and more importantly, we need to start putting pressure on the elected officials saying, do something to mitigate the disaster that is coming. Stop doing all the things that are going to make it worse. Because the more nags they get, the more likely they are to start to comply to our will and do what they're told for a change. So I hope you will join me in those efforts. But for now, that'll do it for this video, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.